Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. AI is showing up everywhere, but turning that momentum into real business impact remains challenging. In fact, we found that 95% of enterprise AI initiatives fall short of delivering that impact. Meanwhile, 72% of executives say managing data is a top barrier to AI growth. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. The real challenge is ensuring data is fit for purpose before AI and analytics touch it. So today we're going to keep our session practical and focused. We'll discuss why AI and analytics break without trusted data, the difficulties of fixing data quality in complex environments, and practical steps to assess, improve, and continuously monitor data quality so that AI initiatives can scale. We will encourage you to submit questions at any time during the panel. We may not get to them live, but we will follow up with any additional questions after the webinar. I'm excited today to be joined by two experts who work closely with customers on these challenges every day. First, we have Jeff Brown, Senior Director of Product Management. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff leads AI First Product Strategy, focusing on embedding AI capabilities into enterprise platforms to solve real customer problems. And Mike Ortman, welcome.
Thank you.
Mike is Principal Solution Architect, and he brings a deep experience working with customers to operationalize data integrity, combining technical expertise with real-world implementation experience. So thanks for joining us, both Jeff and Mike.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great.
Thanks.
All right, with that, we're going to just jump right in. So I'm going to give you some questions to talk about, and we're just going to just go back and forth and see what we find out. So First off, as I said, everyone is talking about AI, but many organizations are struggling to get real value from it. From conversations that you've had with customers, where does data quality most often break down before AI or advanced analytics even get started?
Sure. I'll start. So AI is not magic. It won't automatically fix your data quality issues. And so when we talk about subjects like this on where our customers are struggling, it's really I go back to the beginning and kind of break it down from there. So there's a couple operational points along a data's journey where it can potentially break down prior to gaining the most value from using it in any AI models or AI initiatives. And the first operational point is really starting at the beginning. It's around data entry, right? So customers sometimes don't have the proper control or the proper entry points for their data. And what this does, it results in data that might be entered that is not the right data type, that isn't stored correctly, et cetera. So it really starts at the beginning. So the data quality piece starts at data entry. So the sooner you can have those types of quality controls on the beginning, the better. The second piece then is once data is entered, it moves between systems, right? So what we see across our customers is that anytime data moves, there's that opportunity to shift, to move around, to be concatenated or aggregated, or systems are combined. So a lot of times customers find that records have either dropped or data types have been altered, or sometimes it just, when you're moving data, it just leads to bloated data sets, right? And so without that set of strong data quality checks as it goes through your systems, it really leads to data loss, duplication, and even incorrect transformations as our customers have seen, or prospects have even seen. That only leads to poor data quality for your AI consumption. And then lastly, the sort of the overarching piece that I see with our customers is that there's really broken data principles. And what that means is that they're trying to push immature data into their AI and analytics that really hasn't been properly either looked after, curated, massaged even prior to pushing it into the AI systems that they want to, extract business value from, make business decisions off of. When really they're trying to push this data through when it really hasn't been properly looked after. And what we see for mature organizations is that they have this concept of data tiers and data readiness for their AI efforts, so that they're pushing data from a bronze to a silver to a gold level of maturity, so that when they are doing AI and they are doing proper analysis on it, that they know, how much they can rely on that outcome. Because something that's in the bronze level versus the gold might not be as they don't want to make as strong enough decisions. But if they're doing some analysis, maybe that bronze layer of data that hasn't been checked is okay, versus the gold, which may be used for enterprise reporting or other type of major business decisions.
Okay, thanks. Mike, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I pretty much agree with everything Jeff said. I think that there's another layer, and I think Jeff started to kind of touch on it, and that is contextualized data for AI, right?
Yeah.
Like data might be well well organized and highly maintained, but if you don't have a sense of like where it comes from, how, as Jeff mentioned, it might have been aggregated or transformed through its journey before it ends up in the training model or in the AI model itself, you could get some really unpredictable outcomes. Understanding the context of the data, what it means, how it's been treated throughout its life cycle. As Jeff mentioned, you might have multiple tiers of data, and as an uninitiated user, you're thinking, okay, I need data that has X. Oh, I found it in this table. Well, that's the bronze layer table, right? And you don't really have much understanding of that. So I think being able to follow data along through tools with like lineage and integrated data quality allows users to really get that context of, is the data fit for what I want to use it for? And I think that that's an important piece of data quality that sometimes goes kind of unannounced or unheralded.
Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. Now just turning to modern data architectures, we've heard about them. Sometimes they actually add more complexity. Do you see hybrid cloud, lakehouse, and domain-owned data models changing the way teams need to think about assessing and improving data quality? Mike, do you want to start on this one?
Sure. So that is a fact. Today's technological ecosystems are getting more and more complex with the advent of cloud, hybrid, multiple new technologies coming out that organizations are taking advantage of. So this means that the data that you might be used to using is now being moved from one place to another, being stored in different types of data stores, newer technologies, things of that nature. And data quality can be inconsistent across all of those different technologies. What I've seen in the field is companies that come to us are generally using multiple different types of processes to ensure the quality of data, which adds its own complexity as the ecosystem is getting more complex. Even the tools that they're using add to that complexity, because when changes need to be made and things like that to ensure the data is fit for purpose, then it's a long, kind of arduous process. So I think that with the new kind of ecosystems that are coming out, standardization of data quality is a key point.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, Mike. To your point, this does, more the modern data architecture. So what we see in customers, sometimes they're stuck in the middle, right? They've got this hybrid approach where they're still holding on to some databases being managed on-prem still, right? And then some that have a whole new initiative on their Snowflake or Databricks as they're moving forward. But they're still finding that data can be replicated in both areas. Or, oh, my master table for product information is on Oracle on-prem somewhere, but the rest of my initiatives and analytics is in the cloud somewhere. And so with more data sources, there is an increased fragmentation of where data lives. And so just by creating more sources, you're creating more data movement, more transformations. You've potentially got improper owners of the data, owners that that are responsible for either on-prem and responsible for cloud-based data. And so what we don't see is transparency into some of these blind spots that have this impact downstream when customers are trying to do different types of AI initiatives, and even the data scientists are just kind of saying, give me everything. So they're picking from all these different tables and cloud-based data warehouses and on-prem, and it really does lead to inconsistencies. And so when you have these different types of inconsistencies and you don't have a way to centralize and organize your data policies, it leads to data everywhere, inconsistent scoring and logic on the data as well. So you really don't know how good your data is, right? That's one of the biggest problems, is that we see data scattered everywhere means you've got more checks, more balances that need to come into place, and you don't get as good of an understanding of how good my data actually is, which leads to, poor decisions and inaccurate models downstream.
Okay. Yeah. So if we think about this from a solution architecture standpoint, what is the impact of inconsistent rules or of logic being rebuilt across these different systems?
So yeah, again, fragmentation, right? So one of the things, oh, and I'll take this one. Sorry,
No, that's okay.
if you've got data stored in lots of different areas and you don't have a control, right? Like a scientific experiment always has a control. So if we say we've got rules on our on-prem stuff, we've got rules, we've got data quality checks or what have you, scoring on our cloud-based or data warehouses, having them all over and not knowing a baseline of what data quality is based on your data policy really does lead to confusion. Because if you don't have an agreed upon data principle that says, this is my core definition of what my data quality score needs to be, whether that's something as simple as completeness, whether it's understanding I'm only doing this on critical data because that's all I care about, or I'm looking at different, other consistency or accuracy or other types of data quality dimensions. If you don't have that baseline on this is exactly what I mean when I say completeness over here or completeness over there, the scores get skewed and you can't really trust what is the score from an on-prem source versus a cloud-based source. So you really need to identify, what do I want to go after and measure, and then how am I measuring it so it's consistent across all those different sources and across the different architecture components that are in our customers today.
Mike, do you want to add anything?
I do. I often encounter organizations that are initiating a technical modernization project, right? Moving to take advantage of newer processing technologies and things like that. This is an opportune time, I think, to talk data integrity. As you are moving along your modernization program, that's a perfect time to put in a standardized process of data quality. As Jeff mentioned, when you have multiple tools, there's conflicts, right? There's multiple different reports that are generating, what the quality of your data is. It can be hard to get kind of your arms around. As you start off on new platforms, adding in data governance, adding in a standardized data quality tool that you can utilize across the organization really helps improve the data quality process. It gives you a centralized place to be able to find and understand context of data, as well as see what the reporting is and understand how the data is being evaluated in a uniform manner.
Great. Thank you for that. So if an organization, let's say that they are early in their AI journey, where would you both suggest that they start with assessing data, fixing critical issues, or improving observability? Mike, do you want to give a?
Yeah, I think that before you can really start on, if you're starting an AI initiative, The best thing to do, in my opinion, is to understand what data you have, right? Evaluate it, catalog it, evaluate it, see what our baseline quality is, profile it, understand what the semantic types of that data is, right? So that because not all data is created equal. There are what we call critical data elements. These are pieces of data that drive decision making, things like that, profitability. Those need to be treated a little differently. So being able to utilize things like observability to keep a running profile on data, setting run over run rules to kind of identify where little tweaks in the data profile might lead to larger problems for an AI initiative. So if you think of like standard deviations and unique value counts, those kinds of things where they can really be early warning indicators of a data problem that could cause some issues in the AI model. So
Yeah.
I'll pass it over to Jeff. Sorry.
I'll add on to that. Yeah, Mike, I completely agree. You know, you can't measure what you don't know is there, right? And so, you know, Julie mentioned the LeBeau report at the beginning of this, and according to some of the research that was done there, the highest rated challenge of the customers that were polled or organizations that were polled is measuring data quality. And so the first step to me that Mike pointed out is just knowing what you have, right? The second is how do you measure data quality or even just start to assess it? And so as our customers and organizations go on their AI journey, you first need to know what you have, but then you need to say, well, I need some form of assessment. And that includes profiling and understanding where sensitive data might be or what type of data is there through semantic type detection. But the basic questions that you want to answer once you have the data that's cataloged and you know what's there is, how bad is my problem? A lot of times when our customers are coming to us, they don't necessarily know how bad the problem is. So I guess the first one would be defining or have some sense of, or hypothesis on what your problem is. Defining it by saying, you know, how bad is my problem? What area of quality is the worst or, you know, needs attention with my most critical data, right? Mike, you mentioned critical data. The other piece is, how bad is my problem? Okay, how bad is it? Well, on what? You don't want to boil the ocean. You really want to target the critical data that feeds into some of your, you know, upward organization's goals, right? If you've got enterprise initiative that can be directly linked to some of your data policies, link those to critical data elements. And those critical data elements then become what you want to focus on first and understand how bad is your problem. And then, you know, lastly, what's the severity of this problem? And then how do I begin to fix it, right? Is it incomplete data? Is it data that's either inaccessible or that I don't know is there? Or is it data that's just completely wrong in terms of, you know, the data types and unusable? So those are the types of areas that when we talk to organizations on as they go through their AI journey, starting with being able to understand what data is there. So cataloging it, assessing it, and being able to profile, being able to understand how bad is my data, and then focusing on some critical data elements to go after, because you can't boil the ocean, right? You shouldn't be going after the noise when you have critical data elements in front of you that really are feeding into your corporate goals and initiatives.
Awesome. Hey, are you guys ready to have some fun now? So we're gonna mix this up a little bit, make this a little more lively, and we're gonna do a quick speed round of agree or disagree. Okay, so I'm gonna throw out a statement, and each of you can react one at a time of whether you agree or disagree, or somewhere in between if you need to. But no, we're not gonna have like really long explanations. Just say whether you agree or disagree in a short statement about why. Okay, guys ready?
Yep.
Game for this? All right.
Yep.
All right. So, profiling data is more important than fixing it. Jeff?
Disagree. Profiling identifies it. Fixing it is actually taking care of the problem that is ultimately leading to better business decisions and more accurate data.
Okay, Mike?
So I would agree. I don't I think that profiling, it leads into data quality, right? So you're identifying where data quality issues are via quick profile rules running. So that's my quick statement.
Okay. Next one is fixing data quality at the source. I know, Jeff, you talked about that, is the only scalable strategy. Jeff?
I wish there was like a middle, right? But no, okay, I would say agree. It is a scalable strategy, not only, but I agree for the most part, right? Fix the problem before it can be pushed downstream and lead into bigger problems, right? So oftentimes you hit that. There was an old stat that said, data quality problem is 10 times or a quality problem is 10 times more expensive to fix once it's finished versus catching it in the very beginning. So I like to stick by that and to catch it early and to catch it often.
Mike?
Well, I agree that starting data quality off as soon as possible is best practice. I do encounter several organizations that aren't really in control of incoming data. They receive third-party files, things like
Yes.
that. So that's where I think we have some use cases where we have to then move that up, right? As far as we can, where you have control over the data is where I would agree with. Sometimes it's just not possible at or origination. So that would be my only disagreement.
All right. Mike, we'll let you take the next one first. You can't improve data quality if you can't see it end to end.
I agree with that. I mean, I think visibility into data quality processes is key to managing your data, right? Having to be able to see it from end to end, especially in these, as we just talked about, these complex environments, data quality can break down anywhere. So end-to-end visualization is priority.
Jeff?
Yeah, I agree, right? Mike touched on lineage. Lineage plays in a big part of data quality because if you can't see, upstream, downstream, upstream, that you don't know what's actually causing the problem, right? So if you're just the result you see is bad data, it might not happen at the point of where you're seeing the data. It's most likely happening somewhere upstream that you need to catch and fix, and whether that's low data scores or monitoring events that are triggered, it is typically something that comes much earlier. So understanding where your data come from and seeing data quality end to end is key.
All right, we'll do one more. Dashboards are useless if you don't trust the data feeding them. Jeff?
Yes, agree. Again, like you wouldn't trust your total balance in your 401k if you don't understand what's below it, right? You don't trust your car's dashboard if the information that's feeding it is wrong, right? You wouldn't start a road trip if you say my gas gauge doesn't work and I don't know how much gas is in there and I don't know where the nearest gas station is. So again, it's like trusting the data that's being fed into what you're ultimately seeing as a summarized view.
Mike?
So I'm going to take a little different tack. I kind of disagree. If we look at Jeff's dashboard reference, right, your gas gauge might be broken, but your speedometer still works. And so, it does have some purpose. I think that many times data can be correct. What I've found is that users think, oh, this dashboard, the data is not correct. When in reality, as we investigate it, data is being improperly aggregated, or the wrong data is, it's been synced up to the wrong data set, as we talked about a little earlier. This is where I think this is where transparent data governance really plays a big role, to be able to understand where that data is coming from, who owns it, and then really is that fit for the dashboard that I'm utilizing.
All right, great. Thank you.
Agree to disagree.
All right, we're almost getting to the end of our time here. So before we wrap up, I want to give each of you a chance to leave the audience with one final thought. Based on what you see with customers every day, what is one thing you'd want people to take away as they think about AI, analytics, and data quality? Jeff, you want to start us out?
Yeah. Data quality breaks down early. And if you want to fix your problems that are downstream, fix it early and make sure that as you're fixing it, you're measuring it properly through centralized data quality rules, proper data principles, and strong governance so that as you insert your AI projects or your AI initiatives into wherever that data lives, you understand the quality of your data and how to fix it upstream if that is something you're looking to do at that point in time where that data lives.
Mike?
Yeah, so I would say modern data ecosystems really make it hard for teams to locate, understand, trust the data that they're using. So I feel a recommendation of a strong lineage tool combined with unified data quality practices and upfront cataloging and profiling go a long way to really ensuring that, especially if you're starting out an AI initiative, that the data is fit for purpose, right? There's a difference, but I think there's a difference between clean data and data that's been adjusted to make sure that it's fit for purpose. So that's what I would like to leave the audience with.
Great, great. Thank you both for your time, and that's really a great way to wrap up. We really appreciate it. So the big takeaway here is that AI ready data doesn't mean perfect data. It means knowing where your data stands, fixing what matters the most, and of course having visibility and consistency as the data moves across your environment. I wanted to call out if you have submitted questions that we were not able to answer today, thank you. We will follow up with responses after the webinar. And before we wrap up, if you're interested in digging deeper into these findings, I encourage you to check out the 2026 State of Data Integrity and AI Readiness Report from LeBeau College of Business at Drexel University and Precisely, which is available in the Resources tab. And with that, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time and hope this session gave you clarity and confidence as you move forward with AI and analytics. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.